President Biden decides to pardon his son, okay, Hunter. Everybody reacts to it. People lose their minds. The clips that you see going viral are clips of him saying he won't do it. No one's above the law. His words. It's funny, there's a tweet that's been trending with community notes. That's Biden who posted, "No one's above the law." Underneath it, the community note says, on December 1st, President Biden pardoned his own son after for 11 years he was accused, and that's just the one, right? No one is above the law.
How brilliant is that?
And look at this. Joe Biden has pardoned his son, Hunter Biden.
So his son is,
according
to
Joe Biden's action, he and his son are, in fact, above the law. That's community notes.
That's brilliant.
You know,
that's brilliant.
Elon
Of
sort
course.
of getting in there and
Well, it's
editing
not,
it.
though. It's the heel. It's the heel that's at the bottom of it. So it goes credit to whoever that writes the story. But I'll just open it up. Rob, do we want to go with Scott Jennings? Let's start off with Scott Jennings' clip. Scott Jennings is somebody, by the way, respect to LA Times, who just decided to add Scott Jennings.
Yeah, shout out to that.
Who will be sitting on their board, right? Editorial board, if I'm not mistaken. I think he got some kind of a job that he's sitting on the editorial board. Let me see if I find this here. Yeah, I'll tell you here in a second.
That's correct. And the owner also refused to endorse any particular candidate.
Right. That's
It
right.
looks like the owner is trying to get back toward the middle.
Good. Here's Scott Jennings, by the way. Go ahead. Play this clip. Scott Jennings on the pardon.
Listen, you guys can spend all day long trying to spin this, that this is Donald Trump's fault, that this is somehow caused by Donald Trump.
Oh,
he's
face
appointing
on
the
the
wrong
left.
people.
The
Oh,
her name is
he
Karen.
did it. Oh, this is the
John
worst
Brennan.
possible thing a
John's face.
president could possibly do
terrible
to
poker
his
face.
party and to the country, to sit
got poker
for
faces,
a
we know
year and say, I will not do
Or
this.
210.
I will not do this. The rule of law is sacred. We have to respect the justice system. Juries, we have to respect juries. We have to respect the guardrails and the norms of our democracy. These people are liars. Inflation, it's transitory. Afghanistan, it's a success. The border is secure. Robert Hur is a liar. The videos are cheap fakes. Biden has a cold. He'll never drop out. Oh, I'll never pardon Hunter.
Yeah.
It's all a lie. It is all a grift. Every American, except the most partisan, brain-rotted people,
can't
are
take
going
her.
to be
Look at her. He knows he's
outraged by
talking
this
about her.
today. He is going to leave off.
at her.
You think 38, 39% job approval
Scott,
is bad?
hold up, Scott. My name is
Just
Karen.
you wait. Just you wait. He's disgraced today. Outrageous.
Her name is Karen. Really, her name is
Tom,
Karen.
are you surprised that he pardoned his own son? And does this open it up and allow Trump to do whatever he wants to do? Because no matter who he pardons is not going to be close to a president pardoning his own son.
Okay, so we have to understand what happened here. You have to read the pardon to understand that this is not just covering his son. This starts back in 2014. Otherwise, he could say, I am pardoning him for the tax, gun ownership, and, list the issues specifically. Usually that's what they do. Presidential pardon says, I'm pardoning this guy who's on death row because I believe DNA evidence showed that he didn't do it. And so I'm pardoning him on that. What this was a blanket pardon for all crimes going back to 2014. Why 2014? That is before the gun charge. Why? Yeah. It's because 2014 is when the business was started in the Ukraine and the money was going back. So guess who also gets covered? Because if Hunter was forwarding 10% for the big guy, remember that?
Yep.
If he was doing that, now he's pardoned for that. If there were 14 bank accounts that Hunter was manipulating to send the money back to the Biden cousins and nieces and nephews, you know what I'm talking about? Guess what? This is now covering that. This is not a pardon. This is a massive cover-up and a huge sweep of the entire Ukrainian graft and bribes and kickbacks. Graft, bribes, all that was going...
All the above.
All the above that was going back. I'm not surprised that he did it for his son, but it's not. This is covering the whole thing, and it happens moments after Donald Trump utters the words, Kash Patel, and
that was
and
days
guess what?
after.
And you know what? They know they're coming. They know they're coming. Don't be deceived. Everyone that is in and around Joe Biden wants you to think this is about pardoning his son. He never said he would pardon his son. Look at what it says. All the way back to 2014, sweeping all malfeasances over that scope of time.
Vinny.
Why?
Well, and Tom, you nailed it. And guess what? The big guy, he came through. Okay. And if you guys, I love, not us, but the mainstream media, the Republicans are such shocked and in your awe. That's all these people have been doing is lying. When you see Karine Jean-Pierre on that freaking in the White House press room, you know that book that she has? That's just a book of freaking lies. Every time people talk, she's in there looking for another lie. Kate Hyde tweeted yesterday. She said, Biden's presidency started with him denying the existence of Hunter's laptop, and it is ending with Biden pardoning Hunter for all the things found on that laptop. And Tom, you nailed it. It's a blanket pardon, blanket immunity. That means it cannot be overturned. Supreme Court can't overturn it. Congress can't overturn it. Even Joe Biden. If Joe Biden wanted to overturn it, he can't. And I was watching yesterday Jack Posobiec's podcast, and he said from people on the Hill that he knows and White House staff, you know what happened? Thanksgiving in Nantucket, there was a dinner, Thanksgiving dinner, and allegedly Hunter Biden stands up and goes, hey guys, just letting you guys know, I'm thinking about writing a book. I want to write a book about all of our lives. And this is the thing. He was supposed to be sentenced December 12th. So could you imagine that was basically like, are you guys waiting forever? I think I should write a book about everything. This was Jill and this was Joe Biden making sure their asses are covered. And Tom, you nailed it. This is going back for 11 years. And let's not forget who Hunter was. He got discharged from the Navy from 2014 for testing positive for guess what? Cocaine. Sleeps with his dead brother's wife, the laptop controversy, tax evasion, firearm charges, the business dealings. And now we're still in shock that there was cocaine found in the White House and them saying that he's been sober for 5 years. Don't even come at me with that. And now we have Democrats. This is the hypocrisy of the left. They're all like, well, you would do it too if it was your son. That's not the case. The case is the lying. We've been lied to. You guys have been lied to for 8 years. And here's my question to you. Is there any way that Biden could get in trouble? Like after, because he can't pardon himself for all the stuff that was involved in all that. If they're pardoning him for all of that, all that evidence is still there, and the big guys on there, the emails from Joe Biden are there, could they get him in trouble for that?
I don't know if they can or not. I don't know what's going to happen there. The question I want to ask you is the following.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's ask it from this perspective, Tom. And Adam, I want to come to you as well. Ask it from the perspective of, father. Okay, as a father, ask it from a perspective of president. Ask it from a perspective of opening up the pardons that your enemy could do in those 3 areas. Okay, answer it that way. Meaning, honestly, as a father, I'm not surprised he did it.
Of course.
Okay. Number 2, as a president, him doing it. It's a nasty legacy piece, but the way he'll write his book is going to be written in a way that's probably going to be favoring and emotional. And let me tell you, I was really concerned about him, and I love him so much. And all I thought about when he was a kid. But as a strategist, let me tell you, he just made things so easy for Trump. Mm-hmm. He made things. If you go on Twitter, Rob, I posted something on Twitter a couple days ago after this took place. And I'm trying to see which one it was. If you go on Twitter, I posted something about this whole pardon thing. And I said, because originally I said, I'm convinced he had zero intention of pardoning Hunter because he didn't think Trump would win. My thoughts was, this guy wasn't going to pardon Hunter. He was thinking whoever that was going to be, he was going to get a second term, and another Democrat was eventually going to pardon Hunter. It's a better look if Kamala pardons Hunter.
100%.
So if he says, Kamala, you go, one of the deals they probably brokered with Kamala is the fact that on day one, she pardons Hunter. So it's a bad look if he does it. But the moment Trump won is like, oh shit, now what do I do? Because the worst look is if he doesn't pardon Hunter, you think Trump would pardon Hunter? I think he would. And you know what would happen to America if they see Trump pardon Hunter instead of Biden pardoning his own son? Think about that for a second.
That's a great. That's a tactic. Trump fans wouldn't like it, but as a move, strategic move,
Trump fans would like it. Let me tell you what Trump fans would like. You know why? Because they would say, "Oh, you said he's a dictator on day one. Would a dictator pardon his enemy's son? Would a dictator pardon his enemy's son on day one? Would he do that? So don't tell me he would do that. He's a unifier." I think they took, because for me, if I'm Trump, it's two ways for me. Again, this is my opinion, thinking like a strategist. Either way, Biden is screwed. And either way, Trump is good. Because here's how Trump's going to do. He's going to go, if you don't pardon him, I will pardon him. And I'm going to pardon the January 6 people
100%.
on the same day that I pardon your son, to confuse the shit out of the media. I think that's what he would have done
Brilliant.
if Biden doesn't pardon him.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you do pardon him, guess what? I'm going to use that to pardon everybody else. Okay?
Yeah.
So both ways, because if you go a little bit higher on the tweet, Rob, this thing that Trump understands that the rest don't understand is Trump understands leverage. He gets leverage. I think it's a tweet up. He understands leverage. He sits there thinking about his next 15 moves, and he knows, you do this, I'm going to do that. You do that, I'm going to do this. You do this, I'm going to do that. He is so ahead of the other competitors that he's going up against. They don't have it coming. But to me, it was a win-win for Trump. There was no way Trump was going to lose from this, and I'm convinced. I'm telling you, 95% chance, I'm convinced. They can come out and say, you have no clue what you're talking about. Please don't speak on our behalf. I'm not speaking. It's a podcast. I'm giving my opinion. 95% chance Trump would have pardoned Hunter on the same day that he would have pardoned the J6 people. It would have been, selfishly, I would have liked to have seen the media lose their mind over that.
Yeah.
Because they would have been like, well, we knew he was going to pardon J6. Yeah, well, how about there's that's probably...
Yeah, they're
meltdown.
lost.
It would have been great. Adam, thoughts?
I like the way you broke it down, basically, because you have to think of this in multiple, basically, purposes. There is the father-son element of all this, and everyone that basically weighed in on this, from Piers Morgan to Tucker to Rogan, everyone basically understands that as a father, they all said, listen, man, if my son were faced with something like this, if your son was accused of murder, if your son murdered somebody, would you turn him in? The resounding answer from most people was, no, I wouldn't. So if you're Joe Biden, the father, and you're looking back at your life, he lost a wife and his daughter, in 1971 to a car accident, dead. His main son, the good one, Beau Biden, who was the Attorney General of Delaware, I believe, also major in the Army, died, brain cancer. So now you have your crackhead son left, your only son remaining, and you have Ashley Biden, who's sort of a social activist. What would you do if you were in that situation? You've already lost 2 kids. This is your only boy left, and you're like unbelievably sad and distraught over the situation. I understand that. Pivoting from that, as a leader, so you have the father and the son, and then you have the leader and a loser. You have your loser son. You know, one of the best things that Trump and Hillary Clinton ever did was when he said, say one thing good about what your opponent has done. And he basically said, Hillary was like, look at this guy's kids.
Yep.
I mean, we've met many of them, broken bread with many of them, from Don Jr. to Eric to Ivanka to Tiffany. Barron, what a stud. And then you juxtapose that and you look at Hunter Biden, and it's just like, what a freaking loser. The crack, the drugs, the prostitution, the everything.
The recording and leaving it at a freaking
and it all
repair
turned
shop.
out to be true.
Of course it is. We always knew.
So the last thing is the precedent and the president. Is now everyone's basically saying, what's the precedent here? What's the precedent here? What's the precedent here? So the flip side is, and you're starting to see the mental gymnastics as they're starting to say is, well, Trump pardoned Roger Stone. He pardoned Paul Manafort. He pardoned Steve Bannon, Michael Flynn, all these things. So what will the precedent be for Trump now that he's coming to term again?
So I think you have to look underneath it, and I understand the part about, it's his son, he's been through a lot, the family's been through a lot. I agree with that. But I think hiding in plain sight is this is a criminal accomplice that just happens to be his son. Being on the board of Burisma and those 11 payments of 15 payments for $11 million between 2014 and 2018. Then Rosemont Seneca investing in Metabiota. Look at all the things that are there hiding in plain sight. And that they want to call this, by the way, I found this is really funny. Kathleen Jean-Pierre called it war politics, and then Biden said in a quote that it was raw politics. Well, raw is war spelled backwards, and I'm wondering if Biden misunderstood the word and called it raw politics. It's war politics, or she. I thought it was kind of interesting.
Well, what are you saying?
What I'm saying is they pardoned him because there is a litany of things that were on that hard drive that were crimes that were committed.
So are you saying they pardoned him because it was going to link back to Joe? So really Joe
It
pardoned
does
himself.
link back to Joe,
Wait a minute.
but
So
no-
what you're saying is, just so the audience understands, it's a very good point you're making. Joe Biden just pardoned himself is what you're saying.
Correct.
Okay,
His
yeah.
accomplice,
Yeah.
who will never testify against him, who now is forgiven for anything he may have done, guess what? Is clean. And all those things I mentioned were coming back this way. And it just happens to be his son. But I do have a compassionate heart. I believe that Joe Biden is on the twilight of just any sort of recognition. I think he's at the front door of where Ronald Reagan was, where a handwritten note was published by the LA Times where he says, you know, I have been told my condition is worsening. This is what I'm feeling. This is what it is. I believe Joe Biden is right on that doorstep. And we are seeing the sunset, who is one of the leaders of our nation over time. But I also believe that what happened here is he pardoned himself by clearing
I got it. Okay,
Hunter
so let's
all
go.
the way
Let's-
back to 2014.
So in November, let me tell you what happened with November, with Black Friday, Cyber Monday, everything that we did. Absolutely amazing what took place. We have more people ordering stuff in a month of November than we did all of last year. Record-breaking month. I love the fact that people are we want 1 million people wearing Future Looks Bright gear. And this is probably your last chance here this week to order stuff that it gets to you before Christmas so you can sport some of this gear. We have the Merry Christmas hats that you can go order. Anybody that orders, the first 100 that order, we still have some ornaments left. The Merry Christmas ornaments and Future Looks Bright ornaments left for some of you that haven't. And we have this new gear that came out, which I wish you could feel this material.
ridiculous.
Feel the material, by the way, what this feels like. Just feel the material.
Wow.
Even
What is that, velvet?
It's amazing. But on the back, what it says is Happy Holidays, crossed, Merry Christmas at the bottom. Incredible material. This is on the website. If you got a newborn baby, the onesies, and we got a few other these sweaters, Merry Christmas ugly sweaters. Rob, if you can put the link below, VT merch, last chance, first 100 orders, you get the ornaments sent over to you. And stick around. I'm going to give you some intel on some of you guys that want to come and get, the Christmas trees with
What
us.
happened to the red Merry Christmas hat?
that thing went
That's
out.
sold out.
Rob, did that sell out? Can you go to see if that sold out? I mean, I don't know what happened with that hat. To tell you what, is there still some left of that? Apparently there is, because that went off. By the way, the first 1,000 orders we sold like within 2 days when it came out. Yeah, this is
love
hot,
this hat.
folks.
It's
People are
sick.
ordering this left and right.
Hot route.
Merry
Merry
Christmas with Future Looks Bright on the side. 1 million people wearing Future Looks Bright gear. I want to run into you everywhere we go. I want to see that gear being worn. Tag us when you do that. If you enjoyed this video, you want to watch more videos like this, click here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click here.